Hi, I'm Monet Capri Johnson, and welcome to Evangelista, a community of women who are intentional about spreading the word of God. And today we have a good one. It's my testimony, one of many testimonies. Hi, I'm Monet Capri Johnson, and welcome back to another video. So in this video, we're going to talk about my testimony of how I reestablished my relationship with God. I talked about it a little bit in part 1 of how to study the Bible, and I just wanted to go more into detail because I'm pretty sure a lot of people can relate, or it can inspire a lot of people to reestablish their relationship with God. So yeah, I just wanted to tell a quick story time. Hopefully it's quick. I have notes that I'm going to refer to keep me on track. I point out all the important things so I won't ramble on too much. Okay, so in 2016 I moved to Southern California. God directed me here. I asked him, I gave him a list of places that I wanted to relocate to, and he pointed me here. But a year prior to that is when I reestablished my relationship with God and how I was able to hear him so clearly. A year prior, I was attacked in my faith with what direction I was supposed to go in my life. So I have been into fashion for as long as I can remember, but it was starting to take a toll on my faith because it wasn't really taking off in the way that I felt it should have. I participated in fashion shows across the city of Chicago. I even put on 2 or 3 of my own fashion shows. I was very dedicated to fashion, and everyone around me knew it. I fell in love with fashion when I was a kid, and how it really started was I would draw clothes for my Barbies and my Bratz dolls that I didn't have. I would imagine oh, they'll look cute in this, so I would draw it and I would show my parents, and my mom was you can actually design clothes for people, that's actually a job. And I was about 12, and obviously that was a job, but I wasn't thinking of it in that way. I was just really creating, and it kind of sparked an interest in me. And then from that point forward, I was I'm going to be a fashion designer. I'm going to design clothes for people. And that's really how far back I can account for this passion that I have for fashion. So fast forward again to 2015. I'm at the point where I've been doing it for years. Probably in 2015, I'm not sure how old I was. I can't really do the math. But I've been doing it for years. Been designing, creating. I was in school for fashion. It was what I ate, slept, and breathed, fashion. And so I was becoming fatigued with waiting for my big break. I was so dedicated to my craft. I loved it so much. I would practice. I would always be creating in my free time. I would try to sell. I remember I did my first pop-up and I just was not successful. And I was just crying out to God, nothing is working. I feel like you gave me this gift, but maybe I got it wrong. Maybe this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing for the rest of my life. And so I was scared to say it, but I was I would rather you take this passion away from me. It's something that I love so dearly. I would rather you take it away and replace it with what you actually have planned for me, because I don't want to live the rest of my life unhappy and heartbroken because I'm not successful as I want to be or should be. I would rather do something that you called me to do, because I know in that place I will have peace, I will have comfort, I will have provision. I will just have everything I need. I will be in your will. I was God, take this passion away and replace it if it's not meant to be there. And I couldn't believe what I was really praying, because I tell you, I loved everything fashion. Like, it was my email handles, it was my passwords, like everything screamed that I love fashion, and everybody in my life knew it. Even if you weren't close with me, you knew that I love fashion. And I'm like, I can't believe I'm actually praying this, but I was like, that's more important to me, being in the will of God. I know I will have peace there. And even though I feel like I love this thing so much, it's actually breaking my heart because I'm not finding any success in it. I'm not finding what I thought I needed. And so I prayed that prayer, and I just believed that God would come through for me. So that was in 2015, like maybe at the beginning of 2015. And at this time, I also was dealing with things with work. Like, it just was like everything was like crashing down, and I just needed something like to keep me going. And so around Christmas, I went to a Christmas luncheon that was hosted by my church, and my faith was very like this. Like, I was close to a breaking point, and so I kind of didn't really want to go to this Christmas luncheon because I was just like unmotivated. Like, I was the type of person, like, I also had crazy faith. So when I'm in environments that are going to feed my faith, it blossoms something. And so I didn't want to be in those environments that blossoms my faith more, because I knew that it was going to keep me going. And I kind of wanted to just wallow in my despair. And so, because I was upset, I was sad, and I didn't want anything to like encourage me in that moment, because I felt like something that I loved, I had prayed that it be taken away. So I was like very like in a shaky position with my faith. And so I went to this Christmas luncheon, and I sat through the whole thing. And people were selling stuff. Like, they had a little time of the service where you were able to sell. And I was just looking around like, ugh, you know, still thinking about my business, still thinking about, wow, I might not be able to do this because God, I prayed to God to remove it if that's not what I'm supposed to do. Like, just trying to be optimistic about like what the future held. And so I was just going through a lot of emotions in that Christmas luncheon. And so when it came to the word, I don't remember the word because what was significant kind of outshines everything. So it was time for prayer. And again, like, when you're in those environments and, you know, they say a prayer request, you're like, or they call for a prayer, they have a prayer call, and it speaks to you so much, you're like, oh my gosh, like, this is God literally talking to me. And so again, I don't remember the prayer request, but I knew that God was nudging me, so I went to the altar. And so a little time had passed before I decided like to actually go up there. Like, they had began praying for the group of people that was there, or a group of women rather, because it was a women's Christmas luncheon. And so when I got up there, I'm like, okay, God, I'm gonna get up there, you know. So I went up there, and she was like, oh, we're running out of time. I won't be able to pray for everyone individually, so I'm gonna just do a blanket prayer. She didn't use the word blanket, but I can't think of another term. But she said she's gonna do a blanket prayer, and I was just like, are you kidding me? I muster up enough strength to make it to the altar. God's been nudging me this whole time. I finally listened to him. He knows where I am with my faith, and now I won't even get spoken to individually. I'm just like, oh my God, okay, whatever. I'm gonna just take whatever and like try to use whatever is spoken over me and like go to God with it and just try to be encouraged. So as she was praying, she was like walking back and forth over all of us, by all of us, and she got to me and she stopped. And mind you, she said she can't pray for people individually, but she stopped in front of me. And I just had my hands up and my head down and my eyes closed, but I felt her in front of me. And so she said, God said, you feel like you're losing your passion. And I was like, I had my eyes closed. I'm like, that's me. Okay. I'm like, okay, this is really happening. Like, God is speaking through my pastor to me. Something that I didn't share with anybody. I didn't share with anybody that I prayed to God to remove my passion. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't write it in a journal because I love writing in journals. But like, it was just something that was internal, like in my mind. And she was speaking my thoughts back to me as God. I'm like, okay, you have my attention, God. And she said, you feel like you're losing your passion. But God said that he's going to give you a passion so big you won't be able to contain it. She's like, try to reach your hands up as high as you can go. And even that is not how big God is going to bless you. And so I'm paraphrasing, but that's what she said. When I got home, I literally just typed it up because I was like, I can't forget this. It's in my notes and my phone somewhere. But that is what she prayed over me, that I feel like I was losing my passion. And I did feel that way. Even though I prayed that prayer, and God knew, even though I prayed that prayer, it was something that I was so passionate about. And I did feel like I was losing a piece of me, but I knew how important that was to actually do what God called you to do versus do what you feel like you should be doing. We feel like we have all the answers, but God is all knowing. He's all powerful. He knows the end before the beginning. So that's how much trust I put in him, to give him. It was like a sacrifice. Like I sacrificed what I felt was my purpose in life, and I gave it back to him. And I said, God, you can have this. Give me what I'm supposed to do. And I feel like that is what kind of like that act of faith is what ignited something inside of me, and what God used to catapult me to where I am today. And I'm not to say that I'm right in God's plan for my life. Nothing crazy drastic has happened on the outside, but internally I am where I'm supposed to be in my relationship with him, and I'm on my way. So anywho, God said that he, through my pastor, he was like, I'm gonna give you a passion that's so big you won't be able to contain it. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy. Like, it was just was what I needed. And so after that, I ran full speed in my relationship with God. I wanted more of that. Like, just that showed me truly what a relationship with God was. Like, when you seek him out and you pray, he will answer you. And if you are intentional about what you're asking God and your relationship with him, he will show up. And so I have been going to church for most of my life. Every Sunday, every Wednesday, I was in choir. I was on a praise dance team. I volunteered with the children. I did vacation Bible school as a teacher, as a student. Like, my family is very devoted to the church and to God. And so I've been in church feels like my whole life. But I kind of was going through the motions. And so when you're a child, you do as your parents say, like you do as you're told. So I had to go to church. It's not like I didn't like it. I loved going to church. I met some of the closest people in my life there, but I was going through, I didn't see the severity of having a relationship with God. I was just like, I'm supposed to be here. Like, you're supposed to go to church. Like, that's all I really knew. And so when I was at home, I would read my Bible. I wouldn't really understand. I would pray, but like real like basic prayers. I used devotionals. I didn't really go into the word. And so I had an empty type of relationship with God. Like, I knew him, but like I didn't know him. And so it wasn't until this instance that I was like craving more of God. And so I was like, I have to figure out a way to understand the Bible, because as the Bible as I know it is boring. Like, I'm being completely honest. I thought it was boring. I didn't think that I'm like, how can people like spend so much time with God? Like, I would hear about people close to my age like being able to spend so much time with God. They would give testimonies on Wednesday about things that God was doing, and I just couldn't relate. And so I was like, I have to find a way to make this interesting to me and to make me love it. And so, because I needed more of what God showed me. And so that's when I created this way of studying the Bible. And I believe that God gave me that technique, and it has helped me know the Bible so much more. It helped me understand his word. It helps me hear his voice. I talked a lot about that in like how to study the Bible. Like, it's just, when you are persistent about something, like, you're gonna find your answer, you're gonna find your way. And I didn't want to give up, and I needed more of God. And so that's also around the time that I decided to move. And I was like, God, if you're telling me to move, I'm gonna need you like never before. Like, if I'm going to this area where I've never been, I don't have a family based there, it's just me and you, God. Like, I need to know your voice. I need to know you so that you can continue to guide me, and that I can follow you. And so that's really what motivated me to like dive in deeper. It was the mix of having that great experience with God, where he spoke my innermost thoughts through my pastor, and the fact that he was leading me on a journey where it was just me and him. I'm like, I need to know you. I need to know you more. Like, not just know of you, not just know you through my parents, not just know you through church leaders. No, I need to know you for myself. I need to know your voice myself, because when it's just me and you across the country, I'm not going to have my mom. I'm not going to have my dad. I'm not going to have my pastors. I'm not going to have the church leaders who have gotten me up to this point. Like, now I have to walk this walk with God, and I have to be responsible for that. And so that's why I'm such an advocate for like reading the Bible, because if you want a relationship with God, that's where you have to start. You know, like, you can be praying and you can feel like, is anyone listening to me? You know, like, you can just feel like you're talking to yourself. And a lot of times that's how it starts. Like, you sound crazy, or you feel crazy because you're just speaking out loud, but God is listening. And when you pray and then go to his word, he will answer you. I promise you. You pray, read his word, and he will answer you. Make your request known to him. He will answer. Guaranteed. I encourage you to spend time with God. I encourage you to go to the source, and the source is his word. And you might be wondering, like, who is God, and what does it mean to be a Christian, and all these things. Like, just read his word. Find a Bible that is a study Bible. It explains stories to you. It gives you questions, like, kind of treats it like a textbook, and you just get more of an understanding. And like, if you read something, like, stop and say, God, can you help me understand what I just read? Like, flat out ask him, like, can you help me get an understanding? And don't feel discouraged if it doesn't happen right away. I do it still. I'm like, God, I didn't understand what I just read. And so I'm like, can you please give me an understanding? And I'll continue to read. And then it comes together. And it may not happen at that point. It may happen later on in the day. Like, don't put a time frame on when you want God to answer prayers for you, when you want God to come through for you. Like, just make your request known to him and have faith that he will answer. You can't control when, where, how, or why, what. Like, you can't control that. But if you ask God to explain his word to you, he will do it. Just be patient and have faith. And so, again, I encourage you to read the word, apply it to your life, how you can, and go from there. Pray, read, apply. Start there. Like, don't overcomplicate it. Pray, talk to God, go to his word, and apply what you read. And if you need help knowing what to go to his word about, like I said in part 1 of how to study the Bible, if you're praying to God because you need direction, clarity, reassurance, whatever the case may be, go to his word about those topics. Use Google. Bible verses about clarity, Bible verses about reassurance. Read that, be encouraged, and apply it to your life. But I just wanted to thank God for keeping me during that time of just playing church, the time where I wasn't really involved in like having a relationship with him. I thank God for having grace with me and not giving up on me. And he waited for me to find him in my own timing. And it's just crazy how he just causes everything to work out for our good. Like, I thought that, what I was experiencing was just, me not having success in fashion. God, take it away. But he took that instance and like birthed this love for him. And I can't thank him enough. Like, every little thing that happens in our life is for a reason, and just be present in those moments, and just don't give up. And I was just like, as much as I wanted to give up and not continue to have faith, I feel like I'm a woman of faith. Like, I can believe God for some crazy things, and I feel like the devil attacks my faith all the time. So I have to keep feeding it because he doesn't want me to believe. He doesn't want me to keep going. And so you just have to be encouraged, and you can't give up. Like, you have to make it up in your mind, and it's a daily decision. Like, it's not just a one and done, like, okay, I'm gonna believe God. No, every day I wake up, I'm like, I believe what God said about me. I believe God's word is true. Go to sleep, wake up, do it again. You have to make that decision daily to follow God, to have faith in God, to believe in God. It's a daily application. It's not one and done. As much as we want to just one and done that, no. Life happens. You have to encourage yourself. So every day decide that you're going to follow him. Every day decide that you're going to believe and have faith in him, and he's going to come through for you. But yeah, I just have to say that I really just encourage you to have a relationship with God and read his word and pray. Like, I really encourage you. So yes, thank you for watching another Evangelista Community video. I'm excited about this video. I'm excited about this community God's blessed me with. Even if it's just me and a few other people, like, that's who God called me to speak to, and I'm okay with that. I just am excited, and I'm going to pursue what God tells me to pursue. I just have to do it. And so again, thank you for watching another Evangelista Community video, and I hope you have a great day, and do not give up.